Welcome to Your Space with your host, Hannah Arinito. It's been a while since I've been on your screens, but we are back and better. Your Space is a platform that is giving you, the young people, an opportunity to express yourself and express your thoughts in relation to the fight against corruption. Now, with me in studio today is a very outstanding young man who puts the extra in each and everything. Hello, Emmanuel. Thank you so much for coming onto the show.
Yes, thank you for having me, Hannah. I'm so excited, and it's always great for me to be back home. So it feels like home after a long period of time.
Now, people are asking themselves, back home, where have you been? So this gentleman has been traversing the entire world. But Your Space is the only place where we can be able to capture him for at least the next 30 minutes or so. So, Emmanuel, please do introduce yourself to the viewers because they want to know who is this gentleman that is putting the extra in each and everything.
Thank you very much. So, hello, family. My name is Emmanuel Sechanzi, BSc Medical Science, Anesthesia and Critical Care, Masters of Science in Medical Informatics, Peru University. I'm the founder and CEO of MedRef Health Bridge Solutions, a health tech startup. We are the East African health tech startup of youth startup of the year, and again I'm an author and speaker of the Journey Outward.
Nice.
Yeah.
And before we get into the conversation, I just have to ask you, Emma, how are you able to do all these different things at the same time? How are you able to balance all these things?
Yeah, so first I want to clear it. I don't think there is quite that a balance, but it's by the grace of God that you can manage. And the second thing, I've trained my life to be a leader. So when you lead, you delegate. When you delegate, you empower others, and you can accomplish a lot of things in a given period of time with the leadership skills. So that's why many of the youngsters, we should be more of leaders than managers of different activities across.
I think so many of us young people, like when we are starting out, we like to micromanage each and everything because we don't trust other people very well. But thank you so much for sharing that pointer with us. So if you're watching and you're a young person, you want to start your own business or your own enterprise, please invest in delegation and allow other people to also grow as you go. But Emma, I'm very intrigued by the fact that you are a young entrepreneur in this world that looks at young people as insignificant. How are you able to stand in a room with the who is who and be able to express yourself and your ideas before so many people?
Okay, thank you, Hannah. And for the start, I would say if you look at Uganda, the recent demographic survey, we have almost, I think, 18%, 18 years old, we are almost 50% of the population, if I'm not wrong. And that shows you that we have to wake up, we have to stand up as the youth to create value. And one of the things that pushes me is like over the years, Africa has been defined as a continent full of problems and devoid of solutions. And this is one of the things, the narrative that we have to change as youths. Not lamenting and complaining that we are black, but creating value, innovating and empowering homegrown solutions. So this passion to create impact, this passion to change lives, this passion to see that we take leadership in different revolution, especially in the tech and AI right now, pushes me every day to knock. And the Bible says knock and the door shall be opened. So we knock. However big the door, we knock until it is opened, and we have to push through. So I believe in the youth power. I believe we are the future. I believe we can create the future, not just envisioning it. So that pushes me to go into those big offices and say, this is what we can do. This is what we should do. Yes.
So I know that it's not been a completely smooth journey. There have been potholes here and there. But before I come into those potholes, I just want to know how your journey started, just in a brief, in just a brief second or two, because I don't want us to just dive into the conversation and yet somebody who is watching is wondering, how do I reach where Emma has reached? Like, what was that turning point in your life that catapulted everything?
Okay, so I think the turning point was when in 2021, when I got a scholarship to go and study from India, and then I found out that, okay, this world, these people do things differently. How they love their country, how they call it My India, how they want to create solutions, and they're not depending on anyone. So that was an eye-opener. But for me to become an entrepreneur was when I participated and won the national level innovation hackathon in India. So that told me that, you know what, even though you are coming from the villages and the black roads in Muwende, you can create value not only for Uganda but the global as one. So I think that was the major turning point for me when I won the national level hackathon. I felt like, okay, I can create something new. And that was when I started, and I've never turned back.
Wow. So 2021 is actually very recent.
Yeah.
And that's interesting because for me in my mind, because I've seen you online and we've interacted online. So for me, I've been thinking Emma has been working ever since 2017. And
I wish I started in 2017.
Yeah.
But I think by now
you'd be further.
Yeah, but 2021, that's the day the Lord made, and that's when we started. And now it has been around 2 years of innovating and almost 8 months of this Medref company. And we have achieved a lot in the 8 months after the incubation. So it's not about time, it's about creating value.
It's about creating value and not time. I hope you've gotten that. But I know it's not been a smooth journey all along, right? There have been some potholes here and there. And for me, when I look at you, Emma, I'm just like, this guy, things are just going right for him. So I just want you to share with me and the viewers, what have been some of the challenges you've faced on your journey of being an entrepreneur, but also working in the medical field? What challenges have you faced? And how have you been able to battle them?
Okay, so I wrote this about this in my book, and I said we have almost 60% of challenges, and one of the reasons why we have failed to create value and solutions at the continent is because we look at the bureaucracies and the stumbling blocks and we don't move beyond them. So I tried to ignore, but there are many. One is the conspiracy and the bureaucracy, and if you look at the successful projects in Africa, one is resource allocation, it has to be very well, and two, the political support. So the conspiracy bureaucracies have been a disturbance. Two, the corruption in the licensing and registration of these health technologies is also difficult at the continent as a vast, not only Uganda. Because secondly is, if you look at the new blueprint of 2024 done by Health Tab Africa, which is a health tech accelerator, it suggests that almost every country they interviewed, they have a national digital health or health tech strategy. But in that, it doesn't align very well on how they're going to support the local innovators and the local born innovations. Now, because this is happening, there is a lot of corruptions when you're trying to move from one office to another to get the license. There is a lot of unknown information, and the law is not clear what do you have to do, what is the next step. The so-called incubators in the country, they also need to be incubated. So it is a challenge, but as I said, the moment we are going to change Africa, the moment we're going to change the face of Uganda is when we start to move beyond the complaints of corruption, of policies, and then we start now to sit on one table to say, okay, this is policy A, how can we make it
But how
better?
do you move beyond that if that is all you've ever known? I mean, ever since we were born in Uganda, there are certain things that we are just born into. So we are now used to it. So how can a young person, like you've said, the only way we can fight is by moving beyond. So how can a young person that's watching right now move beyond what is the norm?
Okay, so I've told myself one thing, and I think it's everything that another young entrepreneur in Africa can tell themselves, all in Uganda particularly. It's like, no one is going to allow you to do anything. So you don't expect like someone is going to pick me, oh my God, and then this is how we license, this is how we do. It's not going to happen, and you're not going to wait for them to do. So sometimes I tell myself, okay, if this is the server and it is here, let me just host the data. When I've done it mistakenly, they will come. The government obviously will know. They will come and question, and after some time they will guide. That's the most important thing. It's like we shouldn't wait to complain about each and everything. We have to take a step further and do what we have to do. So do what you have to do, and then what you have done, the value you have created, will shame the so-called policymakers to do their work. But if we complain and we run onto the roads and then we shout and we do this, then the question is, what is that after the shouting on the road?
What next?
Yes, because if I'm shouting about there is increase in paper, so we cannot buy rim papers to go to school. Now, the first thing I ask myself, as a youth, can we produce paper locally? Can we start startups? Can we get the government funding from, I had some government officials, I don't know, there's a certain PDM and other things to use them.
PDM.
Now, the question is, we have done our part. We have created the value. Now we cannot go out. So now, the question, what we are writing about is like, we have done ABCD. We have created ABCD initiative, but you're not giving us the chance. But if we shout without the chance and we are given the chance, then what next?
So you're not just about going into the streets and protesting, but what next after that?
What next after the protest?
I
That's why you see we protest about e-freeze and the tax, and what next is we go back and save. Because we have not made the foundations. So let it start with us, because the first person who says that corruption is bad, everyone looks at the MP, everyone looks at the member of parliament, the president, the speaker. But on ground,
you are the corrupt one.
You find a parent who wants her child to get better marks. Every time they go on the visitation day, they take the teacher. They don't give some money. They have taken another step of making a very good cock and hen they take to the teacher. Thank you for teaching. So this teacher gives better marks. So corruption starts from down. So we have to make the foundations strong, build the morality, and then look forward and see what to do.
I think we've shaken too many tables at the moment. Let's just take a break. We're going to be right back. We'll be continuing the conversation with Emmanuel Sechanzi. Welcome back from that mini break. You are still on Your Space with your host, Hannah Arinito. And with me in studio is Emmanuel Sechanzi. And we're just shaking a couple of tables here today in relation to corruption. And Emma, I just have to be direct with it. Have you faced any personal challenges when it comes to corruption in your field?
Anything to change, it's going to start with us. It's going to start with the URA or the URSB officer to say, I don't take money in my office, but I deliver even though I don't have the extra money. So, but that one of the passport pained me a lot because I didn't have the money
at the time.
So I had to borrow to pay the, So that's what I say. Let us start with ourselves. Let us clean ourselves. Let us clean our own houses before we go to look for the parliament. Actually, if we bring in families that ensure that the children know that corruption is not a good thing from day one, maybe these MPs will not steal our money when they go to parliament. But because this is what we see at home, the child wants to cry, you give them
a sweet.
You tell them, I'll buy you a tablet, don't cry. So they know that whenever something is not going well, there's someone to corrupt you to stop it. So that's what I think.
So do you have mentors? Do you have people who actually help you and guide you in your journey?
This is how things happen. You need the mentor and they need to tell you. But the problem is also the mentors we have, they also pay the corruption. So they call it in Uganda kintu kidogo to make the things move fast. So that's why I'm saying the whole thing is corrupt. So we don't need to pin one person. We need to revise the culture that we have set.
But it's not impossible, right? Because the way you're saying it, Emma, somebody could feel like, we have no hope. We have no hope.
No, we have the hope. You are the hope.
You are the hope. It starts with you.
Yeah.
And I feel that's a very tough conversation that young people don't like having. When you tell them it's not the people around you that have the problem, it is you with the problem. I think that's one of the biggest conversations that we hate having as young people. So how can somebody who is watching reinvent themselves to stand for values like integrity, values like honesty? I just want you to touch also on the conversation of collaboration, because I think so many young people are so focused on doing this life thing alone, and it's taking a toll on them. And that is why involving themselves in corrupt conversations, corrupt activities. And for me, I believe in the thought process of community and doing life with people. How would you encourage any young person or young entrepreneur to work together and collaborate together for better outcomes?
The software I develop right now, I develop in partnership of advanced computing software companies. And I guide them on what to do. They guide my team. We share the knowledge. Together we make a better solution. So you need the team. You cannot do anything alone. And two, you cannot be a one-man army. You have to make sure that you have a very strong team from sales, from marketing, from finance, from the tech team. And together you have to lead them to achieve a certain vision together. So that's what I said. We are taught management of business at MOBS, but are we taught to be business leaders? Because you can never be a business leader who wants to own 100%.
Yes.
You want to empower your co-workers. That's why at Medref, I don't want any worker. I have colleagues.
You have colleagues.
Yes, I have a tech colleague, I have a finance colleague, I have a marketing colleague. So because they do what I cannot do, that's the reason why I bring you. If I want to brand my company, rebrand, you're a colleague. Because I cannot rebrand my company. So collaboration is very important, partnerships are very important, and that will take us far. Because what is the importance of having 1 million Ugandan shilling company where you own 100%?
Ask yourself that question if you're watching.
Yeah.
But I just want us to dive into the whole concept of your book, The Journey Outward. Though we are left with a few minutes before we close the conversation today. But before we transfer this conversation to the next episode, I just want to find out what inspired this book, The Journey Outward.
So there are various reasons why. One is like I was born a premature baby. And there was a narrative in my village that when you are born premature, like you come with demons and all that.
Hey.
Yeah. So I wanted to change the narrative.
Were you born in 1980 something?
No. I was born in 2001 on Christmas.
What?
That's why I'm Emmanuel for Christmas.
Yes.
But then my birthday is February 6th because I think that's after 2 months of incubation. That's why I was like, I could cry seriously. Then my mother changed it. But the most important thing why I wrote that book is to change the narrative of people that even if the baby is lame, even if the baby has one eye, it doesn't matter. That person could be a great person tomorrow and create value. Two, I wanted to change the narrative of students who come from Africa and go abroad to study and they get the abroad status of a man international student and they don't come back home to create value. I wanted to remind them that our problems, and even if we run away, they remain.
Our problems.
So I had the President Museveni one time saying, most of us go abroad and then we come back to supervise nonsense instead of coming back to create value. So let us come back, I was calling them. The next thing is I wanted people to see, if you read the first introduction of my book, is to see Africa not from the broken lenses of how other people see us, a continent devoid of solutions, a continent where we cannot create value, but for people to see us as people who can create value, as people who can really change the world, because we have been left out for the 3 industrial revolutions that have been happening. Even the 4th one, I don't even know. People are just telling us to fund regulation of AI. No one is funding the building of AI. So it is very, very, very important for people to read this book. And that's why I kept it very small, because youths don't want to read. All
right, just hold it right there, Emmanuel. We are still with him even in the next episode. But for next week, we'll be diving more into this book, The Journey Outward, and how it can be able to influence your next steps in your life. But thank you so much for tuning in. See you again next week, same time, same place, right here on Your Space with your host, Hannah Arinita. Bye-bye.